Hi everybody, it's Susanna from Papercraft Planet. This is part 4 of an ongoing series on working with Photoshop elements. This week we're working on page 2 of a 2-page layout. We're using a template from Bella Gypsy Designs. This is a quick overview of the template, and now that you've seen that, we're going to go and here's the finished layout that we're making today. Just like last week's video, we have already distressed the background of our layout. We have added clipping masks over the elements that are in place already, and we removed some elements that we didn't want on the design. I'm going to double click in my project bin on this star, and I am going to drag it down onto my layout. Let's move that into position. I'm going to have this be a replacement for some of those cute flowers that were on our original. I'm going to size that down a bit. It looks good right there. Okay. The next thing I'm going to do is bring in my photograph. So with my auto select layer on, I'm going to click on my placeholder. I'm going to double click on my photo, and I'm going to drag it down onto my design. Now, as you can see, this is a vertical photograph, and our placeholder is for a small rectangle. I could do a clipping mask. I think instead of doing that this time, I'm just going to resize the element. I'm going to resize my photograph and remove the placeholder. Let me scroll down a little so I can see my transform handles. I'm going to leave that placeholder box there so I can judge the width that I'd like to go for. So I would like to get as close as I can to this size, shape, and angle. You can see how if I hover over these transform handles on the corner, I get a double arrow. That shows me that I can tilt my photograph. And now I'm going to move it around a little and try and get it in a place that I feel gives me the similar look and feel to my original template. Okay, I like that. I'm going to come over here into the layers palette, and I'm going to select my placeholder, and I'm going to drag that to the trash can because I'm not going to keep that in this layout. Okay, now for the most part my layout is done, but this time I do want to add a title, and I didn't have a font that I wanted to use. Our layout is about a fun time we had going to eat at a local fast food restaurant called Chick-fil-A, and they have a cow as their mascot, and the cow encourages everyone to eat more chicken. If you dress like a cow on this particular day, you got a free chicken sandwich. What I did is I did a Google image search and found the Chick-fil-A logo, and I'd like to drag this down into my finished layout. To do that, first go and find your image and save it to your hard drive, and then open it in your Photoshop Elements program. Now I've opened my logo. I'm going to double click here in the layers palette where the padlock is, and it says background. I'm going to double click on that. I'm going to hit OK when the flyout menu opens. Now you can see it says layer and no padlock. That means now if I erase this white background, I'll get a transparent background that won't interfere with other things in my layout. I'm going to come over here to my magic wand tool, and I'm going to click on the white background. And that should select everything in my background that's white. I'm going to hit delete, and you'll notice we get a white checkerboard. That white checkerboard is the same thing in Photoshop as transparent. Now you'll notice that it didn't include any of these areas here that are white that are encased completely by the letters. The lines of the letters actually protected this white space. So I'm just going to add this to my selection. Hit delete one more time. Forgot the center of the A. Okay, I think I've got it all. Hit Control D or Command D on a Mac to deselect, and now I've got my Chick-fil-A logo on a layer with no background. So let's click and drag this into our layout. And now I can position this as our title. It's a little bigger than I want it to be. So let's resize this a bit. Maybe have it come down. Oh, I think right about here would be good. And hit the check mark for OK. And now I'm going to, let me zoom in a little. I'm going to add some regular text. Select the T for my text tool. Okay, I've got my font picked out. I'm going to click right about here. Okay, let's move that over just a little. And when we're done, we can just select our Move tool. And that's it. Let's add some shadows now to give this a more realistic look. I'm going to go over here to my photograph, and I'll go under Effects, Drop Shadows. I'd like a low drop shadow. I'm just going to double click on it, and you'll see it gives it some height, a little transparent band going around the photo that makes it look like it's been layered on top. I think this particular drop shadow is a little heavy, so I'm going to come over here to my FX in my layers palette. Let's double click on that, and this will let me change my style settings. I'm going to change the size of my drop shadow to 7, the distance to 7, and the opacity to 20. And let's hit OK. And that gives us a drop shadow, but it's much more subtle. It doesn't pop out to your eye. Now, if I right-click on my Layers palette, I can hit Copy Layer Style, and then I can copy that onto the different paper elements and the star and give them a feeling of being stacked on top of the page. So let's come down here to our elements, and I'm going to hit Control or Command on a Mac, and I'm going to select my elements all at once. I think I got them all. And I'm going to right click and hit Paste Layer Style. And now that drop shadow has been added to all of those elements, and it'll give it a little bit more definition. Okay, so now our layout's complete. Let's go ahead and save it.